Okay, so today I want to show you how to use the clone stamp tool. What I'm going to do is I want to put this owl's head on the body of this leopard. So I'm going to open up my layers and I'm going to go to the owl. Right now it's in the crop tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my quick selection tool. If you don't see it in your tool box right here, look in Magic Wand and click and hold till it'll open up things that are nested within that one tool. So typically the first tool in here is the Magic Wand, but I'm going to choose my quick selection, which allows you to have like a brush, like a paintbrush, and you can paint and select an area that you want. And I want to make sure and get all of this as well, because I'm going to use that on the leopard. To duplicate any selection on a Mac, it's going to be Command J, but on a PC or the Chromebook, it is going to be Control J. And what it does is it duplicates your selection without altering the main image. Now I'm going to drag this layer over to the leopard layer, and I'm not going to drop it right here. I'm going to actually come in, and you can see the white line that appears showing that you're in the image layer, and I'm going to drop it on top. Now I'm going to move this over a little bit, and I'm going to transform the owl layer so that way it's more the correct size for the leopard head. So Command T or Control T, and make sure that you hold Shift while you're scaling, because if you don't, it makes it all disproportional. So hold Shift and grab a corner and scale it. Don't stress out if it is pixelated when you scale it, because that's just to save memory in the computer. Once you hit return, it sharpens back up. I'm going to zoom in. Zoom is the Z tool, or right down here. And you can go from zooming in with the plus sign to out right here at the top. So I'm going to zoom in, and what I want to do is I want to, if I turn this off, I want to trim the owl face so it looks like the baby leopard is nuzzling up against the owl. So I'm going to turn it back on, and I'm going to change my opacity of the owl layer so I can see where I need to erase. Using my eraser tool, which is right here, I'm going to make the brush rather large, but since it's fur and feathers, you're going to want a fuzzy edge. It's not like the side of a building where you have a sharp edge. You're going to want more of a fuzzy edge. So bring down your hardness, and then you can erase where the cub's face nuzzles into the mama. And then bring up your opacity with the owl. And right here you can just kind of fine tune. You may want to make the brush just a little bit harder on the edge and just touch it up so it looks more natural. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. A shortcut for zoom, if you're on the zoom tool, is holding Option, which gives it the negative zoom. Or if you go to Option or Alt, it brings it back to positive. But you can always go up here and change your zoom tool. So Now I need to get rid of the ears of the mama leopard. So I'll zoom back in, and here's where we're going to use the clone stamp. Now the clone stamp is the tool right here, and it's kind of finicky where you have to keep selecting areas, otherwise you just clone things that you just painted over. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go on my background layer because the ear is on the background layer, and I'm going to choose my clone stamp. Now on your keyboard, hold Option or Alt, and you'll see this like crosshairs, and then click, let's see, I'm going to click right here to select this specific area. You can see it's kind of moving. Now if I go over here and paint, you can see where the crosshairs are choosing from. And because I'm not letting go of my click right now, it hasn't accepted the change of the blue right here, and it's still seeing the ear. So basically all I'm doing is moving the ear over, which is not what I want to do. Command Z or Control Z will go back one step. And I'm going to show you how also sometimes you might actually catch the edge of your picture. So I'm going to select right here, and you can see the crosshairs are at the top of the page of the image. So it's selecting that edge, which is something else you don't want to do. So here's my suggestion, and this is something that I do on a regular basis. I will select an area and then paint a little bit, go back, select another area, paint, and you also want to make sure that you select an area that's close to where you want to take something out or adjust something, because if I were to select here, where's that purple blue, it doesn't blend well. So I'm going to keep selecting this lighter blue and going over the ear and this edge of the face, and then I'm going to come over here. This brush now is a little bit too big, so I'm going to size down my brush. And then select and paint. And right here, watch, this is pretty cool. So I'm going to select exactly on this piece of grass. And then I'm going to carefully go over here and paint. So that way it lines it all up. And then I can go back and select and paint. To get rid of this second ear. I'm going to zoom out. And now the ears are gone. Now what we want to do is, as you can see, the owl is more like a blue, green, white, whereas this is a yellow, white, the leopard body. So on the owl layer, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Color Balance. And if you were to do it this way, by going to Image Adjustments, it makes it a permanent adjustment. You can also use your adjustment layers, which doesn't change the original image. It just puts like a layer of adjustment on top of. So if you don't like what you did, you can just trash it. So let's do that. Let's do adjustments. And if you hover over, you can see what each one of them is. And I'm looking for color balance. Now to get rid of some of that bluish, I'm going to move this slightly over to the red. And yellow. Right here you can do shadows, midtones, or highlights. And let me see about the highlights. It doesn't really need much, but it'll make a big difference if you can get your colors right. So it also adjusted it on the entire image, but I just want it on the owl head. So if you come in between your two layers of color balance and layer 1, hold down Option or Alt, and you get this little symbol. I want to attach this adjustment only to the owl layer. So if you put your cursor in between the two layers and you hold down Option or Alt, you can create what's called a clipping mask, and it only connects it with the layer that you clip it to. So think of it like a paper clip. So now it's only adjusting the owl, as you can see. So the next step is to blend the leopard fur and the owl feathers together. This is where we're going to do some more tricky things with Clone Stamp, because I want to put some of these leopard spots onto the owl. So maybe like this, I want to put up here, and continue this spot onto the feathers. So I'm going to go to the background layer where the spots are, choose my Clone Stamp. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and I'm going to choose right here. Now if I were to paint, it looks like it would go on the owl layer, but it's actually going underneath it. I'm still on my background layer. So I need to go to my owl layer and place that piece of the leopard. And I'm going to go back. Let's choose here. That's too bright. I'm going to make my brush smaller. I'm going to choose right here. Go back to the owl and clone some of those spots on top of the owl. You can also put some of the feathers onto the leopard. But since layer 1 is on top of layer 2, you don't need to switch layers. Unless you want to keep your leopard layer pristine, except for the cloning out of the ears, you would want to just continue the clone on the same layer as the owl. But I'll show you how to do it both ways. So on your owl layer, or on your top layer, I'm going to make this brush bigger. I'm going to select right here with the feathers, and I can paint on top of the leopard. I'm going to go back here and paint some until it fades it out a little bit. So as you can see, it didn't put it on the leopard. It kept it on the owl. You could also, let's say I'm going to choose here. Let's choose here. Yep. And I'm going to go to my leopard layer. And if I do that on the leopard layer, see how it places it on the actual leopard? So really it's up to you in deciding where you want to place your blending of your animals. Another thing you can do, if you just have two objects like this, you can use your eraser with a really soft edge. Make it a little bit bigger. And you can erase some of the feathers. so it looks like it's sort of airbrushed on top. I like that because I can now see the little baby cat's whiskers. All right. I want to show you a tool that will help you blend this edge to match more of the shape of the leopard. So go to Filter, Liquify. And this tool is used a lot in magazines, and you'll see why here in a minute. Now I want to see some of my background to kind of guide where I'm going with the edge of the owl, but I don't want to see the whole thing. If you have it all the way on, you won't be able to preview. I want to show you the pucker tool first. Now the pucker tool will do like your face does whenever you eat something sour. So watch the beak. It's bringing it in. The bloat tool would be something like after Thanksgiving. You feel just so full. So those are two tools that are fun to work with, but we're going to use the forward work tool. And you can drag sections of your object to make it bend in a more organic way. And then click OK. So I'm going to undo it and redo it so you can see the difference. Oops. Okay. So you see how I've adjusted it? Oop. I forgot I switched it over. Okay. Now, you can continue with this if you want to play around, maybe even drag some of the feathers down here to make it look more fluid, or even take your time and clone out all of these whiskers from the baby's face, which I'll do a little bit just to show you. Just use a real small brush, select something very close to the whisker, and then paint. And this would take quite a bit of time. But it would look nice. And this is a good way to practice your clone stamp by working on little objects and refining them to perfection. So I just took that one chunk of whiskers out. So it's up to you how much you want to do as far as blending. Have fun with it.